Hey, it's James from Active here with our design director, JC, and today we're going to go through the design process for our Active short gun. We want to take you through kind of how we thought about the product, why we kind of got into it, all the considerations that you had to think about, and really kind of take you behind the scenes on how this product came to life. So how did we think about developing this product? Short guns were obviously already in the market from a number of people. And so when we thought about building our own Active branded or Active designed short gun, we obviously looked to competitors, see what they were doing. We reached out with our distributors and partners at the time, like Obsessed Garage, got lots of feedback from them as well. In addition to some of our own research and considerations, and kind of came up with a list of kind of functional attributes that we wanted to achieve when designing a short gun. So I think first and foremost, most people buy a short gun, I think, because they want to have better maneuverability to get into tight spaces or just make it easier to use. You want to reduce hand fatigue somehow. Your hand can get tired holding the trigger down. You want to reduce the actual trigger force. So the force required to pull the trigger, that can be greater, especially when the whole system is pressurized. We want to have a swivel. Obviously, some of the early guns from other people didn't have the swivel, and some of the more expensive guns out there, they all had the kind of swivel. And so how do we make that kind of in an elegant way? And last but not least, obviously have a comfortable grip and ergonomics and just overall angles. So let's talk about what the design process was like. And like I said, once we had kind of the intentions down, we threw it over you and say, like, how do we put it into an attractive package?
Yeah, so first of all, as usual, we're working on the function. So working closely with the engineers to make sure the internal bits were working all, really well. I recall some of the more difficult parts to nail down were just getting that right feeling of the trigger, how it clicks,
yes,
how it's held.
A source of much discussion online. A lot of people liked the click, a lot of people did not like the click. I think at the outset of the design stage, your intention is to have the click for some type of physical audio feedback, as well as it was also a mechanism, I believe, to reduce force as well. If people were ever wondering why we engineered it from the outset, there was an intention, there.
Yeah, that's right. As you go across the click, it doesn't lock in the open position.
Right.
Or held position, but it gives you a little bit of assistance.
Correct.
So you're not having to work against, spring force or something like that. That always comes first. As well, trying to get just the right feeling on the swivel. We sort of went back and forth with a bunch of different internal mechanisms, finding that down, and then till that was all settled.
And if I'm not mistaken, getting the swivel as far up inside the handle and the grip as well.
That's right. So that's when really my job kind of took over, and that was this desire to just reduce the size overall. How can we shrink that down, get it inside so that the hose is much closer to the wrist?
Yep.
Now we can work on how is this all packaged up. So again, looking at how we're using it, how does it fit in the hand? How far away is the trigger? How much room do we need for the trigger guard?
Right.
And then looking at the grip, and then especially an area like this. If this is just right, it feels comfortable, but if it's wrong, it just feels off. You're either getting pinched in the hand or it feels like it's getting away from you. And sort of lastly, the shape of the top. Yeah, like there's comments out there that it looks like a dolphin head or something from Aliens, but there is an intent to it. And it was, if you are holding it with your hand, it should feel right. And so there's a kind of a reassuring grip in the top.
And this is obviously a rubber overmold that you need to incorporate at the design. And this is also kind of another kind of plastic insert, right? Yes. For ratings and logos and so forth. So these all need to be thought through when kind of designing the tooling for the product, especially the overmold part.
Yeah, absolutely. Even the way the grip, we have these lines on here. They're designed to keep the sweat from building up underneath, right. Or if any water or soap gets in there, it's kind of channeling it away, and you're still getting a good grip.
This was really our first kind of foray into premium accessories for pressure washers, kind of another ground up design. So we, had the opportunity to build it the way we wanted to. And I really think it came out great. People need to understand, hopefully they understand that, again, as you said, there was an intent to almost every element of this design. So here we have some early sketches of various versions of the short gun. Now, they don't all necessarily end up where we ended up, but just to give you a sense of some of the iterations that we go through.
Yeah, that's right. We really start with a blank canvas and you just start putting ideas down, and you don't know where you're going. You let your hand kind of guide you,
Right.
and so this is, you can see there's like, it's a very scattershot approach here, but we can kind of see, you know, over here and maybe over here. Maybe that one, you know, it's starting to zero in on the form that we ended up.
And I'll say part of our design process sometimes is to have polarizing concepts, right? So I think these types of designs kind of went into the more hardcore tool, almost like a mechanical type feel, whereas we ended up more with a sleek aesthetic, right? But typically we'll do a bunch of each and then kind of sometimes take elements of both or just decide one direction is much better than the other. One of the things that I wanted to do, which we still could do depending on user feedback or comments, is I wanted to do a metal version of the whole gun, or an aluminum version actually of a short gun. For no other reason than I love the material aluminum. I think it's got a great hand feel. From a manufacturing point of view, I think it was a bit tough to do. And then from a usability point of view, it actually makes no sense because obviously these guns get dropped on the ground. It's gonna get scratched up. It's gonna probably be really cold when you use it because it's water going through it. I think it's one of those things that I would just like to buy because I think it'd be beautiful and it'd be very cool to have. Let me know your feedback. If you guys want an aluminum version of this, maybe I would do a limited run.
Yeah, and recall, this was only the second product that we really did in this new brand language. We only had the 2.0 to kind of build off of. It was, what's the next one gonna look like?
Right. So what was the reception of the short gun? Ultimately, I think it's been well received by most people. I love seeing it as part of people's setups in the garage or using with the 2.0. So I think it's been quite a success.
Yeah, I think so. And I think as we do, we got a lot of feedback and there are continual refinements happening.
Yes. Ultimately, I think the objective was to bring what was previously like a $150, $200 product and those features and build quality and bring it to a more accessible level. And from that perspective, I think this has been a great success. Again, please leave your feedback or comments on the product or on any other product that we do. We'd love to hear from you. Remember to subscribe and like the video. And as always, thank you for your support.